batteries to power.
Now, Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, bark like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
That opening of the bottle and hitting the bottle, or the bottom of the bottle hit the table.
Right.
The whole thing shattered. You heard this crash.
Oh, wow.
And
That is really cool.
It crackled through. It shattered like crazy. And I just look at my wife and my kids, and we're stunned. And, of course, what's my wife's reaction? What is the first thing she's going to say?
We're going to have to pay for that.
What did you do? Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. What did you do? David Cohen, the magistrate himself, the judge of our shows of 2022. We're here and we are rolling on our second adventure here into determining and exploring 2022 and Everything Old is New Again's participation therein. David Cohen.
I have no idea what you just said.
Why not?
Clip show. It's a clip show, right? The highlights of the year. Okay.
Pretty much.
Just said that in literally 5 seconds, just like I did.
People hear that, they go, ah. But if you've missed the show, or you want to go into and see what this show is all about, this is the show to listen to. This is
you might, if you want to go back in time and listen to our shows for the year, this will help guide you as to maybe which ones you'd want to hear versus others.
I think you're going to want to hear them all. This is just going to inspire you to go to EverythingOldIsNewAgain.Biz and listen to the old shows and to continue 2023, our 9th year broadcasting. Some of the times we have little quizzes on the show. Yes or no, David Cohen? You've been good at some, and some, not so good. We'll get there. But we had a great show.
Though.
Yes, great show on the sound effects. Remember this? Little quiz on sound effects. Listen to this. It's pretty cool. I'm going to go. Let's go through it. Let's hear it for a minute. I'll tell you as we go.
Got it.
All right, here we go. So
The moonlight shows us for what we really are.
and there's the breathing.
We're not among the living.
Right, we know.
Neither are we dead. For too
Footsteps.
long,
Just heard that.
First, unable to quench it. Too long I've been starving to death and haven't died. I feel nothing.
This is a tough one coming
Not
up.
the wind on my face, nor the spray of the sea, nor the warmth of a woman's flesh.
It is
You best start believing in ghosts.
human turning into a skeleton.
You're in one.
Right? Cork out of a bottle.
Here's the cork.
Drinking. Going through the ribs. Glass breaking. Door closing. And finally at the end, working on a ship, doing
What are you
work
looking at?
right here.
Back to work.
All right, the working on the ship, I should have played a little bit longer. That's kind of a cheat. But so even if you got 7 out of 8, you did very well. You got 6 there. You did well, David Cohen. I think that was
All right.
What do you think of that show, the sound effects show? How could you do a show all about sound effects? Not so bad, huh?
No, it was fun. I liked it.
We do have some time in between the clips to talk about things.
What else can you say about the sound effects show? It was fun. I had fun.
Oh, that's great.
They were interesting clips. I learned a lot about sound effects. How about that?
Well, how about this? We did more than just learn about sound effects. We got a visit from the ever-present Pumpkinhead and Balzac.
And by the way, you can't have us as guests on your show talking about any subject at all. You're down to the minutiae of movies. You're talking about sound effects, and you're making a whole show about sound effects. Are you kidding me? By the way, I'm putting it down, but I don't want to put it down because I'm an expert at sound effects. If you want a sound effect of somebody like at a ball game and they're chewing sunflower seeds and spitting them out, I'm your man. I'm the pumpkin man. There's lots of seeds and pumpkins. I can do that. If you want somebody...
Balzac Pumpkinhead Productions is a thing now, and we provide sound effects. Any kind of sound effects you want, specializing in pirates and pumpkins.
Exactly. You want to have a knife go through a pumpkin, make it sound like you're stabbing somebody? I got all the pumpkins you need. I know exactly what to do. I got a Captain Bolzak over there. He can do all kinds of sound effects when it comes to the sea, when it comes to... But Bolzak, you could have done those, all those sound effects for the Pirates of the Caribbean, could you not?
Anything ocean and pirate related, I can do. Pirates, you name it.
I mean, you could...
Peg legs.
There's no reason in the world why you can't slam a door and have that recorded.
Well, yeah, it's a little more to it than that. I mean, you have to have a good recording facility, and you have to.
We don't have record things.
Why, Doug? Why, Douglas? Of all the shows you've been doing, this is a perfect one to have us on, and you didn't even call us.
Yeah, I have to. David Cohen, I really have to be honest with you. I don't have a reason why we didn't call him on this. It's
well.
Oh, I do have a reason. It just came to me. It came to me because when we were planning this, it was during the middle of the pandemic, and everyone was isolated, and there was no visitations going on, and so forth. So we had to do this by Zoom, and I know that you fellas, you just don't have that technology, and just not with it when it comes to Zoom and all that stuff, right?
Pumpkinhead, I told you they were going to blame the pandemic.
I don't understand. I'm a technological wizard. I appear from a whole nother dimension. I am appearing from the land of Oz, which everybody thought was a fictional land. It's a real land. I am over the rainbow. And so if I'm appearing from over the rainbow, I appear in your... Why is no problem? Why do you think there'd be a problem connecting to the internet?
Well, it's the best we can do at this point. David, am I wrong?
Yeah, we're sorry, guys.
Are you really sorry, David Cohen? Are you really sorry to Balzac and to Pumpkinhead? Do you really feel remorse the way you behave with them?
No.
I mean, that you get your head in your hands, you're smiling, you're gnashing your teeth at the same time. You're enjoying those clips. You're not enjoying those clips. You're torn. It seems like.
Who, me?
Yes.
Torn listening to the clips?
Yes.
Well, I think those guys are very intrusive, and they never have anything nice to say. Every time they come on, they're complaining about something. It's a little tiring.
And they're complaining with us. They're complaining with each other. They don't get along.
Right.
There's a lot of
There's
stuff.
just nothing that's going well in either of their lives.
I'm looking forward to
why
them.
do we have to continue to listen to it?
I'm looking forward to them one day spinning off, and maybe we have them host a show one day. What would that be like? We have Pumpkinhead and
they have to be coached. We've got to coach him because you can't just give him the wheel and let him drive. It's
why don't we have
go right over the cliff?
Why don't we have barbecue and fondue? Coach him in. They've done it a number of times.
Yeah, maybe.
It could be interesting.
Maybe. But Balzac sounds like the guy on the Pirates of the Caribbean clip you were playing.
He does.
I couldn't tell them a different.
We call him Balzac, but he's Captain Balzac, and he is a pirate. I don't think everybody, if you're not really with us all the 8 years we're on the air, you may not realize that.
Captain Balzac.
Yeah.
Named after a famous French philosopher. I don't know why, but he was.
Yes.
And
very careful with that.
And
name.
Pumpkinhead, the only thing I have to say about Pumpkinhead is that he must listen to the barbecue guy a lot because he's got occasionally there'll be a little, affectation that sounds more like the barbecue guy, but I think it's just because he's a big fan and he's influenced by him.
Right. It is one big, friendly neighborhood is what this show is.
It is.
And certainly, people do get influenced by other people. That's for sure.
True.
I know that.
That's very true.
Yeah. I also want to say that there are times when we get very intellectual on this show. David Cohen is not one to shy from the intellectual discussions about comic books and their future.
I have a feeling it's kind of morphed into, when I was taking my son to comic book stores at the time, they had morphed into more graphic novel centered things. So you would see younger people there, but they weren't necessarily flipping through Iron Man or Superman comic book. They were looking at graphic novel stuff that's not necessarily superhero related.
That's true, for sure. And you just reminded something else. They're pretty smart, too. Like, if there's a story arc for a year, let's say, they're not buying 12 comics. They'll wait until they put that whole thing in a book.
In a book, right?
And they read the whole thing.
How about that? We solved the mystery of the graphic novel and what's happening in the comic book.
That's true. That's true. You had nothing to say. You know why? Because what I said was just completely, who cares?
It was completely, it was.
What? Okay, so they're into graphic novels. First of all, you could have said that in about 3 words, and you stretched it into 50, I think I counted. Anyway.
Well,
yeah, I should stop being intellectual. I think that's the message.
No, I think it's worthy of a few laughs, and that's what we're all about. Just have some good, clean fun here.
Sometimes we get too serious, Doc. I'm listening to that. I'm like, what? Is this the same show that
these two boobs doing characters, and now they're talking about comic books and graphic novels?
When I took my son, it was a different world out there. They're looking at graphic novels. Have you seen these graphic novels? Wow.
So maybe it is a learning experience once in a while to go back and listen to these shows.
No more serious stuff. Right? It's a clip. It's more than a clip show. It's a learning experience.
We're on the couch. We're on the proverbial couch. We're going to continue to explore and examine everything old is new again when we get back right here, right now.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Clutch of the discipline of theater when it's over, and the release of it can leave you feel like you're spinning. You got to fill it up with something else, man.
Right, so
I got to turn in a book. The Cambridge University Press for the third pass. You got to fill your life up with stuff because the theater and film, and there's a lot of people laying by the wayside who could not find A, the incentive, B, the occupation, or C, just to bring it all up, the curiosità to fill up their life with something other than the theater and film. Brando famously just like strolled streets. I ran into Al Pacino in Beverly Hills like a year ago just hanging out with his daughter. It's a vulnerability, Doug. It's a vulnerability of experience doing it, man.
Yeah.
You guys really provoked me. You guys provoked me. Like that. You inspire me and provoke me.
How about that? Very good. The inspire and provoke. Peter Weller, RoboCop himself. Douglas Viviani here with David Cohen. What do you think of that?
We love Peter. He's great. He's the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
And when he talks seriously about a subject, there's substance behind it. It's interesting. When I start talking seriously about comic books, see, that's where you should feel free, Doug, just to call me out on that stuff. Just don't hold back.
I mean, yeah.
After I did that diatribe about your kids are into graphic novels now, you should say, lighten up, man. We're talking about comic books. What are you doing to the show?
You took it down.
I'm okay with that.
You did take it down a turn. We took a pivot there that I just wasn't prepared to discuss, and so I kind of segued back to the comics.
Feel free to steer me back into the lane. Really,
I think it's funny because sometimes we talk, and it's not just you. I do it. I created the topic too. Like I dove into it as well, and you discuss comic books, let's say, and versus graphic novels, and we're talking about it as if it is like we just cured, Alzheimer's. You know what I mean? Like we're so serious about such a sublime topic. You know what I mean? That's what we do. What can I tell you?
Exactly.
But we also inspire others. We inspired and provoke Peter Weller. What do we do with Michael Elias, who is one of the writers, for The Jerk, and worked with Steve Martin and head of the class. He created great guy, another great guest.
I believe that one of the things about entertainment, and you can also educate. You can't show kids having ambition problems, and I think we try to do that out of the class. The funniest one, not the funniest one we did was called the Shakespeare authorship question, which is who wrote Shakespeare. And there's a whole body of scholarship that says that Shakespeare wasn't written by Shakespeare. And we did a show about that where the teacher, Howard Esmond, says he believes that the Earl of Oxford wrote it. And the kids are like, how could that be? And they discussed that in a comedy way of who wrote Shakespeare. And we got more mail from that show than any other show we did. Because the Oxfordians, finally, they all got to say, finally, somebody on television said that, we're right.
Here, Michael Elias, you can go home
now is a book that, if you haven't read it yet, is a good one to get back to the drawing board. Michael, you've spent so much time with us. We've been so happy to do so, and thank you for spreading some stories and some smiles on our faces through the years.
Enjoyed it. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
this
you.
was fun, man. And I'm glad I'm glad to do it, really. And I'll do it again. Especially get Nick Meyer on with me.
I will. I think it's going to be a great show to have the two of you at once. We will definitely.
You'll see competition.
Exactly. You'll see the sparks fly. There we go. That's Michael Elias, a buddy of Nicholas Meyer, who, let's face it, saved the Star Trek franchise with Wrath of Khan and a number of other movies he got involved with. He's another one. The two of them are very intellectual, as is Peter Weller. So like you say, they do raise the level of intellectual capacity of our show. We try to keep up with them, no? Do we fake it? What do we do?
We try to keep up with them. When we're doing it on our own, it's a complete disaster.
It's so much easier just to ask the question and give a compliment that so-and-so gave you a great answer.
let someone smart answer. I think that's the lesson that we learn.
But do we do that? Do we have Nicholas Meyer and Michael Elias on the show together? I think it'll be very interesting. I'm going to try to line that up.
Sure.
Yeah, these guys are well connected, and I will tell you something else. We stumbled upon Carl Gottlieb a little ways back, who was the screenplay writer for Jaws. He also worked with Steve Martin. You know who he's very good friends with?
Peter Weller.
No, he's very good friends with Mel Brooks, who almost was on our show. And I found out that he agreed to be on our show back in the day when he was promoting a documentary, because he spoke to Carl Gottlieb about our show.
Nice. And why was he never on? What happened there?
It was like on a Thursday afternoon, this, that, and the other, and he just ran out of time, and must have been last on the list. So, but what I want to do is I'm going to contact Carl Gottlieb, I shouldn't say this on the air, and see if I can get the two of them to come on the show together.
Yeah, listen, they're not listening. It's okay.
Exactly. Wouldn't that be cool, though?
Yeah.
I mean, knows about the show already and stuff. What?
Maybe I'll show up for this one.
Yeah, that would be nice. All right, that's a little something there. We go down the road of intellectual capabilities. And then we, we look to a star, so to speak. There's Rob Paulson, who does the voices for lots of animatronics. What is it called? The Animaniacs and lots of other shows. Had him on, and let's listen to a little something about what he has to say.
I love that Michelle got to use all these $100 words like intrinsic and accoutrement. I think that's pretty classy. The bottom line is, like I said earlier, I'm in the happy business. And when you guys started riffing, it just made me smile. I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop. I loved to hear what you were doing. I'm an audience member. You are offering us theater of the mind. You are offering us the opportunity to create in our minds what you two guys look like. Moreover, you're having a great time doing it. And you're not, one of the things that I liked about what I heard the first time you did it for me a couple of years ago was that you were not afraid of being bad. What I mean by that is not that you were bad, but you weren't worried about it. And that's a huge part of the equation, especially when you're doing improv, which is what you were doing. You guys didn't have a script. You just started doing stuff. If you have a script, you might highlight bullet points and go around and, have a general idea of what you're doing, but you move forward. But you're not afraid to screw it up. And that's where the magic happens. Because if you're very tense, if you think, oh my God, I can't, that was stupid, that was really awful, you can't do that. And I read a quote once from Robert Redford, and it's true. You're only as good as you dare to be bad. And I think that is part and parcel of why you guys are entertaining when you do it. You've got a great sense of humor about it. You may take your work seriously, but you don't take that part of it seriously because you're there to enjoy it. If you enjoy it, the audience will too. And I'm telling you, man, you guys got something. So keep it up.
There you go. So a little review.
What show was he on? Who was he talking about?
Yeah, I had him back a second time. You couldn't make it, and then I played him with the show that we did with Michelle when we were arguing, and she was reviewing our show, and she was from the Maplewood Players.
Oh, right.
And she was improv and all. We were just, man, that was that was 2 years ago. But I played that for him. It was the second time I had him as a guest. I had to get another opinion from him, and so because I was just so curious. Is this guy really? Remember, the first time we spoke about him giving us compliments, we were wondering if it was just Hollywood, kind of just puffing or whatever. So I went for it again. And I think I think he really does like what we do, I have to say. I get what he's saying. It doesn't sound great, but it does make sense. That, in other words, if you're going to be so uptight about every word that comes out of your mouth, then you're just not going to be free and fun and have fun with it. That's kind of what he's saying. Does that make sense?
That's right. Yeah. But also, did you think he was going to come on the show and say, you need, I've been taking notes, and if you want to pay me for a few hours, we can just burn this thing down and build up to something that's approach is acceptable.
Well, because
so he's not.
I'm looking for the free advice wherever I can get it. I ain't paying anybody anything. I get the free advice wherever I can.
He's not going to come on and
right, of course,
criticize.
Right.
So,
but he did remember from 2 years ago too. It wasn't like he didn't remember. He remembered what I played for him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that had something to it. So we then turned that into
nice
this.
Guy.
He's a very nice guy. Absolutely. I tortured him through that. So let's be honest. But I then turn and pivot to let's listen to what exactly he's talking about, the fun that we are having with some of these characters.
There's barbecue ribs here. Smoky Joe's. There's great Smoky Joe's. You ever hear Smoky Joe's barbecue sauce? You don't do it. Bradford.
No.
Here, Bradford. Take one. Here, take a couple, Brad. What do you think? How's it taste? Good. Bradford announcer. Yeah.
Well, this is quite delicious.
There you go.
Oh wait, I've gone over my 50-word limit.
You sure have. You keep going. Now you can participate. Now you're not. Don't worry. You won't get fired. We're here for you.
Are you sure? You checked with the sponsor and you checked my contract terms.
I didn't check any such thing. I just know you ain't getting fired because you're. Well, I don't know. You may get fired, actually, now I think about it. I don't know what to say with you. But you're over the 50 minutes.
Well, I've exceeded the 50, so why not continue?
All right. Well, because you have nothing really else to say. We have nothing else programmed in the program for you. So thank you very much for the side story there.
Oh.
And you're on your way.
Just absolute nonsense.
Was that Joe Pesci? Or was that barbecue guy? I think he was channeling Joe Pesci.
Yeah, barbecue's got a lot of problems.
You ain't getting fired. Don't worry about it.
Well, I'll tell you, that was an interesting turn because he wanted to be on the air, and some guest stars do get paid by the word. He was supposed to just introduce us during that show. Well,
Bradford Wells. Yeah.
And so he explored. We haven't heard him since though, so I wonder if he really is fired or not. We'll see this year if he comes back.
Hopefully.
Special guest star. I do like him. I think we should do a little more with him.
Yeah, he's a real throwback.
Yes, and
I like to throw him right back.
All right, we will be back to explore more fun, thrills, and adventure, the things that we've done 2022 on Everything Old is New Again. And where are we going? I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it as soon as we get back from this commercial break, as they say on the other side. We'll be back.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything Old is New Again, with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Yes, we are back. We just came off a clip there of Barbecue and Fondue Guy. We talk about food more often than you think on this show. And I think those two characters were developed because of our love of the barbecue and food in general. Am I wrong? Or am I right?
No, you're right. Absolutely.
So we do kind of dive into food quite a bit. And on our Thanksgiving hangover show, we had a couple of recipes. I'll play a clip first, and I'm wondering if you actually dove into any of the recipes or hangover recipes of what to do with Thanksgiving leftovers, like, the day or two after. Let's see what this is all about. You got the leftover turkey. What are you going to do with it? I got a breakfast idea for the turkey. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Seriously, this is great. Turkey and stuffing eggs Benedict.
So how does that work?
So you've got your turkey, your stuffing, put that in a frying pan, just heat it up a little bit, microwave if you want to do it that way. Either way, just heat it up a little bit. Toast a piece of bread.
Okay.
Put the piece of bread. Of course, you're going to take now your hot turkey and stuffing.
Mm-hmm.
You put the toasted piece of bread on top. Okay. I would then going to cook your egg.
You never made this, did you? You're reading this thing.
No, I have made it, but I forgot. I did forget something.
Totally making it up.
No. Well, you know what I'm forgetting? The butter. Because everything that involves cooking for Thanksgiving involves butter.
Got it.
So don't forget to put the butter on the bread. Don't forget to cook your egg in butter. Don't forget to heat up your turkey and stuffing in butter.
And don't forget to cook your butter in butter.
Exactly. So, but just add a little salt, parsley. I haven't done the nutmeg, but they say nutmeg on the top is not bad either. But cook your egg over easy, or however you want the egg. Put the egg on top of your. If you're going to do Benedict, it's going to be over easy, quite frankly, right?
Yeah, true.
Or so that's you put that over the egg on top of the bread, and you melt or put a little bit of the gravy on top of that.
Okay, that sounds good, actually.
And you've got yourself turkey and stuffing eggs Benedict. I'm telling you, you serve that with a little champagne and a little cranberry juice mixed together instead of a mimosa, champagne and cranberry juice. You get me? Instead of champagne and orange juice, champagne and cranberry juice. Yeah, I don't
usually drink in the mornings, but sure.
Well, you do it on a Sunday, or a Saturday. It's drinking champagne. What's champagne?
What is champagne?
I can drink 3 bottles of champagne. The worst thing it makes me do is go to the bathroom 3 times. I mean, it's not. Does it really affect you? I know some people it affects a lot. It doesn't affect.
No, I'm just wondering how necessary that information was for our listeners. But okay.
So there we go. Do we continue with these recipes? Do we lose everybody on the planet? I don't know what did everybody turn off? I don't know what goes on with that. That was.
I like them. I like the recipes.
Now, did you try?
I can't say I've made any of them, but they all sound really good.
They do sound.
No, they do. They do.
I did the breakfast with a burrito. We had ordered.
That sounded good.
Yeah, we had ordered Greek food, before Thanksgiving. And we had these pita breads. They give you extra. I hate to throw the food out. So I put it in the refrigerator, 3-4 days later, Thanksgiving comes and goes. And I did what we just described there, but I put it all into a burrito, into the pita and rolled it up. And it was a nice touch.
Great idea.
Nice touch.
I like all that stuff.
Then, of course, there's others, aren't as adept as food preparation as maybe we are and barbecue and fondue is. So let's just hear a little something about that. That's just to begin with. Am I wrong? That's a list.
No, you're not wrong.
I hit it.
But this is all your responsibility.
It's all me. You know what my wife's doing? She's sleeping late, and then she gets up. She goes, I'll make the lunch. She makes the worst sandwiches on the planet. You
Did you say she makes the worst sandwiches on the planet?
Yes. When you make a sandwich. Tell you the truth. When you make a sandwich, I have to be honest with you. Let's just say it's a ham and cheese sandwich. Let's just say, okay?
Okay.
How many pieces of ham do you put on it? She slaps it 1 piece of ham, 1 piece of cheese, the pre-processed cheese, by the way, the stuff you got to take out of the cellophane, and she puts it between 2 slices. Maybe if you're lucky, she puts some mustard on there. That's your sandwich. That's the same.
So it's like 99% bread.
Yeah. By the way, when I know this is ridiculous. When I put the ham on it, I bunch it up. Like, you don't just flay it flat. You bunch it up so there's air in between. And you do 4 or 5 pieces, right? And then you come on, make it put some peppers on there or something, or some sweet peppers, or put some mayo and tomato. I mean, could you put something on? Can we have some? All right. So that, but that's what she does. All right. So she did that. She wraps them all up. She wraps them up in, she's a fan of tinfoil. Everything's in tinfoil. So they're all wrapped up in tinfoil. Or, of course, we ran out of tinfoil. My sandwich she puts in wax paper. Okay, so the wax paper sandwich is there. This is what I get.
Put your sandwich in wax paper.
Well, because there's nothing else. There we go. That's my excursion on the way to the beach. One of the beach stories you can look up on everything else. David Cohen, he seems to enjoy that.
Yeah, very funny. Very. The way you tell the story, you're funny.
But it's so true. And the other thing is, thank goodness she doesn't listen to the show.
I was going to say that she will actually probably never hear any of this.
Yeah. So everybody on the planet, well, sooner or later, somebody may come up to her and ask her a question or two about something we mentioned on the radio. It's my dream come true, no matter what it is. That actually someone actually heard us and actually asked her a question about it. Probably won't happen too soon, but if it does.
Or what if they tell her, one of the, negative stories or things you said about her?
Exactly.
When Doug was talking about how you can't make a sandwich to save your life, that was great.
None of that I've not told her, but she doesn't think I've published it to the world.
I see.
That's the difference.
So you're not revealing things that you didn't already express to her directly.
I would never do that. Correct.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. She knows all of this. She doesn't like it.
But she doesn't know you're sharing it with the world.
Exactly. All right, that one may not have been the most wise thing to do, but okay. Speaking of not doing anything wise and the beach, because that was from our beach, one of the beach shows, which I thought were fun. This story was one that we spoke about, and our friend Gary driving his car onto the beach. Remember this?
Sure.
Here we go.
Oh, you know what? So then we had Gary's one. We left it with Gary.
Yeah,
so
with
Gary,
the car.
Right. So Gary is driving his car on the beach because his power is the car, and he wants to show off, and he's the greatest guy in the world, and he's going to pick up one of these cheerleaders at the beach, at the water's edge, and turns out his car gets stuck in the sand. Everyone on the planet knew this was going to happen except for Gary G. So being a hero, he goes from being a hero, he goes to a goat.
True.
And all the jocks, they got their shirts off. They're going to run over. They're going to help out. The nerds go over. They're going to help out because they got the brains, right? They're going to figure out how to get this done. The cheerleaders run over and they sort of egg on the jocks. What are they going to do? They all get around the car and they try to lift it up and get it over. None of it works. No one's looking good. The nerds, there's no cell phones. The nerds look around. They're like, you're stuck. Not going to happen. How about some planks of wood? There's no wood. How about, all their suggestions? Well, put some bunch of seaweed, but that ain't working. They're not getting this car. It's not getting anywhere. I stayed. I let all that malarkey happen. And I looked at Suzanne. I go, you know this guy, this Gary? She's very upset. Like, I'm looking over. She's like really upset. She goes, I got to go over there. She runs over to Gary G. I'm like, oh boy, here's another problem. She's attracted to Gary G. Okay. What's this about? Mm-hmm. What the heck? So I let it happen. I chill. I go back up to you. We're hanging out. We're singing songs. You're teaching Steve Mitchell how to play Come Together on the bass. You're having a grand old time yourself.
Okay.
I don't know what you're doing.
I don't remember that.
I don't know what you're doing, but there's a few girls sitting around you and all that, so that's okay. And playing some songs.
I certainly don't remember that. Okay.
Well, they may have been sitting around.
I like these little embellishments you put in the story to make me feel better.
There we go. David Cohen, any part of that story that you remember? You remember that day at the beach, don't you? It was all true.
I do. I remember that. Yeah. The specifics I leave to you. But I definitely remember generally what happened that day. Sure.
And that was a lot of fun. We had a number of beach stories that came out last year were kind of fun.
They were.
And it's always nice to be able to tell the story like that. And maybe one day we can do. We've floated this idea of having some high school friends come on and give us their perception, of the same story.
Of the same story, different viewpoint. In other words, what really happened. Yeah.
And so I'm going to try to. These are not too far from the truth. I got news for you. There's exaggeration here and there, but they're pretty much they're on. Especially that one. I remember seeing you come over the dudes with the car, and I just could not believe what this guy was doing. Who drives a? It drives a car, like an old-time 70s sedan, too. It wasn't, it wasn't a dune buggy, onto the beach.
He does. And I don't remember how they eventually got the car off. Do you?
I do. There was a two tow trucks backed to the beach, and they had to have huge, hook, and a hook, not a huge hook, but a huge amount of wire to get to the car, and the both of them just they reeled it in, if that makes any sense, with two lines.
And was that his car or his parents' car? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was his car. It was a mess. It was like one of these ones where it had the door was green and the hood was red. It was like different pieces put together from different cars or whatever. Anyway, we'll be back to continue exploring all good things here on Everything Old is New Again. Join us.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
David Cohen, you still awake over there? You're doing a a clip show, you call it. God, I hate those clip shows. They do clip shows. They just review the year and so forth. There's no commentary, nothing of significance in between to talk about. I don't know. If you sort of are enamored with this show, you're having a great time.
I am enjoying it. We are providing some commentary. It's not a straight one clip after another.
Exactly. Many of our old clip shows, we did characters and different things, but this one we just wanted to dive into it and give you our real point of view on these different clips. Right?
Exactly. Right, so and I'm as you know, as I said, I'm a bit under the weather today, but yes. I'm fully and vibrantly alive and engaged.
And enjoying this, our favorite topic. Well, one of the favorite topics, and we get a lot of email about this topic. Here we go.
The USSR is much more open about UFO sightings than we are, and as well as Brazil recently came out with a policy that they're not going to be secretive. They haven't come out and done a press conference saying, look, this is what we know. We know for a fact that, XYZ exists, but they release more information on and talk about more freely the incidences.
Let's pivot then a little bit. So what is that? Do we know anybody?
Do you know? What's your take on it, Doug? You're asking.
We don't know.
I have a take on it, but you're gonna laugh at it. You're gonna scoff on it.
That's what we're expecting. That's why we're here.
I think that I've said this before, in order for a spacefaring civilization to be able to travel, how far they're going to have to travel for galaxies to come over and visit this planet. I feel that their technology has to be obviously superior to us, but superior on a metrical exponential level. So therefore, to me, they're so far advanced. We're like ants, or we're like almost like a zoo, visiting the zoo and doing the drive-through, right? So I think we're more or less like they're like a cruise ship. Take the cruise ship to Florida. We're going to take the cruise ship to Earth. And one of the excursions is to get on this little plane, this little ship that we have, and you can visit Earth and see their warships, see their towns, see their cities, fly over them, and then we disappear and go back to whatever planet they're from. I think that's what it is. Tell me how that's crazy.
Excursions. Okay, well, let's say that's true, right? But when you're on a cruise ship, we won't get into cruise ships. But anyway, in the old days, when you were on a cruise ship and you had a little excursion, did you not try to communicate with the town or whatever you were visiting? You just observed it like it was a zoo?
Well, no, there's clear instructions on some of these too. Like, if you're visiting a certain location, don't feed the animals or don't interact, or like you go on these safaris, you got to make sure you stay in the vehicle, otherwise the animals are going to attack you.
But you're still talking to the tigers and the lions, right? I mean,
well,
you're trying to communicate in some way.
So those are the ones that we're seeing. The ones, there might be many, many, many more that we don't see, but the ones that we're seeing are the people that are breaking their own rules and sort of putting their hand out the window when they're not supposed to interact with the humans. That's the excursion. Unfortunately, we're out of time to really explore that. On Everything Old is New Again, Dr.
Theory.
Thank you. Dr. Viviani, thank you for being back. Do you give it some credibility?
Not your theory, but...
Well, what's the fascinating one? That we're going to be back? I guess that's the theory you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, and congratulations on the recoup, continued best health, and we want you to come back more and more and more.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome.
David Cohen, your comments.
It's just classic Viviani Stray. You do that all the time. You come out with your idea, and then as soon as someone else asks questions, we're out of time.
It's a nice technique, isn't it?
Just always.
But the UFO topics are fun. We have to have some of those.
They are.
We have to continue with those.
They're really fun.
And some more of the oddities. What are some of the other topics that you either did enjoy or you think you will enjoy coming up?
I keep getting back to it, but I can never hear enough of your life stories. Seriously. I think they're great, and I want to hear more of them. And because I feel like, first of all, you're a great storyteller. The stories are terrific, and I like being sort of the voice of the audience, because I've never heard these stories until you're actually telling them to me on the show. I've never heard these. I mean, some of these, like on the beach, the high school with the car driving on the beach, like I remember generally what happened, but you fill in all the details that I haven't remembered. or a story that happened to you that I was completely unaware of. So I like to, for me, I'm just listening, and I'm asking questions I think most, hopefully, normal people would ask as you're telling them, but mostly just enjoying it. So that's what I'd like to see going forward, and those were some of my favorite shows. My other favorite shows, were when you and I just kind of went into a show and we didn't really have we always have a topic, but maybe we're not doing a deep dive. We kind of have a general idea of where we're going to go, and we just start talking, and that's my favorite, one of my favorite forms.
I agree with the latter for sure, and we'll do much more of that because sometimes you can get too bogged down in the clips, and I just want to talk, but you want to bring the audience along with you. So I'd have a number of those topics planned for sure. Well, I appreciate that about the stories. I would first of all never have done them if it wasn't for your support of them, because they are a little me stuff. So I sort of feel like I don't think the show is me, and I don't want to overtake the show with all of that. However, on the other side, when I see a smile on the face and when I see the reaction to a story from the audience, which is you're representing the audience during these stories, and I just said I don't even tell you anything about them. So the interaction during the telling of the story is essential for me to get a feedback. Is it going well or not? Number one, is the audience understanding it? Again, you always fill in the blanks, and then also when you because there's definitely blanks, but also when you which is essential, but when you also inquire about something that I didn't mention, or when you just encourage it with a laugh you can hear sometimes with these stories, is invaluable. I really say this sincerely. I don't think there's any way that I would be able to tell these stories as successfully in any way, shape, or form if I wasn't telling it to you, the audience, in quotes. There's no way.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say. What you were saying about being self-indulgent, though, and me, it's really not that, because, these stories, they're universal. Everyone can relate to them and has been through a similar situation that you've been through. So, a lot of it is just, I think myself, and I'm sure others will feel the same. We kind of step into those shoes, and we know what you're going through, when you're telling these stories, and that's the really cool thing about them.
Good. Well, based on that, I will continue for sure. I definitely have quite a bit lined up there I've been thinking about. And then also some of the shows I like is when we did creepy songs, we did theme songs, which we'll get to, of movies. We did you explaining and developing discussion of remakes when we did we did like 4 shows of the remakes. So we'll do a little clip here.
Song reboots.
Yeah, the song reboots. I like diving into David Cohen's expertise, and I see the wide variety of interest you have in music, and a part of that is when we just dive into like an interesting question that I can't answer, and I just throw out there, what is the best concert of all time? Let's just listen to this. We'll get back.
Hammersmith Odeon, 1973, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. No? Yes?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Why would
I really regret never seeing him.
Why would you want to have seen that Ziggy Stardust? That was the last time he performed as Ziggy Stardust. Right.
Well, I mean, Ziggy Stardust, that started the whole, that launched his career, or took it into orbit and started the whole glam rock trend, which became very influential. And I mean, it's one of the greatest albums of all time.
There you go. All right. Last but not least are these few here. The Who, 1970 in the University of Leeds. I don't know. How about James Brown, the Apollo Theater in 62. We can't get into too much of this now. Queen at Live Aid. We can get into that. And they're saying, drum roll, the best concert of all time. Did Jimi Hendrix experience Monterey Pop Festival? Do you agree or not?
Were these people actually at these concerts? Whoever wrote this, or they were just like pulling off based on what they've read.
I find those best of lists too. Do you ever hear this? Like, the best baseball player of all time, Babe Ruth, and then like it's a kid that's 30, right? So you hear Babe Ruth, one of the best players, and then the rest of, let's say top 10. The rest of the top 10 are 9 players that person saw. Like they don't want to go. Right. They don't go beyond that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what you're pointing out here with the concerts. Like, how can you say what the best concert is if you didn't hear it? I mean, talk about 62. I mean, what?
Yeah. I mean, how many people do we know are still around that have been to all of these concerts and can, speak intelligently about them?
And a concert,
probably none.
A concert is such a personal experience. You mentioned Asbury, Southside Johnny, the Asbury Jukes. You've seen them more than anybody else, and you enjoy them.
Yeah,
maybe not the best concert you've ever seen, but it is very personal, is what you're saying, right? When it comes to the whole thing.
That's right.
Who? I mean, you got half a minute here. Who is the most
an eternity? Who is what?
Who's the best concert? Or what's the best concert off the top of your head? Would it be Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys or somebody else? Who is your best concert
that I've attended?
You've ever seen? Yeah.
That I've ever seen. Oh wow, that's a tough one.
Attended, yeah.
I'll tell you two that were amazing. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Saw them in Las Vegas. What a show! And the Strokes back in 2001 when they were first touring. Kings of Leon, an unknown band at the time, opened for them. And then the Strokes played for maybe 45 minutes, which was disappointing, but one of the best live 45 minutes of music I've ever experienced.
Wow, what made it the best? That's interesting.
It was a different kind of music they were playing, the energy, the audience, it just all came together. It just all came together, and I knew what I was watching was really special.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very personal, very, you go out and get the album or go to YouTube and listen to those. You can kind of peek into some of that. We will peek into a little bit more of Everything Old is New Again when we get back next week. And, come on back. And then before you know it, we're going to have year 9 upon us. Right here, right now. Everything Old is New Again.